Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Phenom Group. We will explain about teaching approach, methods, and technique. Before we start to presentation about our material, first we will introduce ourselves first. My name is Rehan MKWU.
My name is MKWU. My name is Munawara.
Okay, first, teaching approach. It is a set of principles, beliefs, or ideas about the nature of learning, which is translated into the classroom. An approach is treating something in a certain way. It is our own personal philosophy, the act of getting close to way, path, or route, one's viewpoint toward teaching or refers to what believes in regarding teaching, upon which teaching behaviors are based. This is example from teaching approach: teacher-centered or learner-centered, subject matter-centered, learner-centered, teacher-dominated, interactive, baking approach, constructivist, disciplinal, integrated, individualistic, collaborative, indirect, guided, direct. First, teacher-centered approach. The teacher is perceived to be the only reliable source of information in contrast to the learner-centered approach. 2. Learner-centered approach, in which it is believed that the learner is also an important resource because he or she to know something and is therefore capable of sharing something. Number 3. Interactive approach. In this approach, an interactive classroom will have more student talk and less teacher talk. Students are given the opportunity to interact with the teacher and with other students. Constructivist approach. The students are expected to construct knowledge and meaning out for what they are taught by connecting them to prior experience. Direct teaching approach. The teacher directly tells or shows or demonstrates what is to be taught. In direct guided approach, the teacher guides the learner to discover things for himself or herself. The teacher facilitates the learning process by allowing the learner to be engaged in the learning process with his or her guidance. Subject matter centered approach. Subject matter gains primacy over that of the learner. Integrated approach. It makes the teacher connect what he or she teaches to other lessons of the same subject, or connect his or her lesson with other subject, thus making his or her approach interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary. Individualistic approach. It wants the individual student to work by themselves. Collaborative approach. It will welcome group work, teamwork, partnerships, and group discussion. Okay, the first material will be explained Diki Wahyudi.
Okay, next, what is method? A method is a description of the way the information or behavior is carried forward or consolidated during the instructional process. Second, method is an overall plan or is a way of something is done, no part of which contradicts, and all of which is based upon the selected approach. It is a systematic way of doing something. It's implicit on an orderly, logical arrangement of steps. It is more procedural. Type of methods. First, direct method. Second, inductive method. And third, deductive method. Direct method. What is direct method? Direct method is the strategy is teacher directed. The emphasis is on the teaching of skills. Each step must be mastered. Hence, the students gain how rather than what. It is termed procedural knowledge. Third, taught in a step-by-step fashion. It ensures the learning of the entire procedure with no step misses. To employ the methodology in teaching skills, follow these steps. A. Provide the rationale. B. Demonstrate the skill. C. Provide guided practice until mastery. D. Check for understanding and provide feedback. E. Provide extended practice and transfer. F. Assess learning at the end. Example. Sample lessons with step-by-step task. Second, steps of Maslow hierarchy. Third, steps in preparing a meal. Fourth, writing a letter. Fifth, solving math problem. Advantages. Step-by-step learning. This method can be usefully employed from the lowest to the highest learning skills or class. The teacher must also ensure that the students already possess the prerequisite knowledge. Fourth, it's easier for teachers to create assessment tests of high validity and high reliability. Disadvantages. First, the structure of their teaching can be rigid enough to hinder the creativity of the teacher. Second, there is very little room to improvise because this method follows a step-by-step process. Third, direct teaching, if utilized by unprepared teachers, can be disastrous. Fourth, student is passive most of the time. Deductive method. First, teacher-dominated approach. Second, it begins with the abstract rule, generalization principle, and ends with specific example and concrete details. Third, cover a wider scope of subject matter. Fourth, learning is passive process. The learners do not take part in the generations of conclusions or generalization. Fifth, drill or exercises come after the explanation of the rule or principle. Example. First, teacher will present a map of the Philippines, then study the map with them. Second, teacher explain the rule first. To add similar fractions, just add the numerators, then copy the denominator. Advantages. Wider scope of subject matter because the instruction is direct by stating at once the rule or the principle at the beginning of the class. Second, teacher do not have to worry on what questions to ask for learners to generalization or conclusion. Disadvantages. First, passive learning, less involvement on part of the learners. Second, the learner do not take part in the generation of conclusion or generalization. Third, learners' involvement will be drill or exercises that come after the explanation of the rule or principle. Fourth, lesson appears uninteresting at first. Teacher begin to listen with the abstract with what the learners do not know. Inductive method. First, it begins with specific details, constructed data, and example, and ends with an abstract. Second, learners are more engaged in the teaching until learning process. Third, learning becomes more interesting at the outset because we begin with the experiences of our students, begin with what they know. Fourth, it helps the development of our learners' higher order thinking skills to see patterns and analyze the same in order to arrive at generalization requires analytical thinking. It requires more time. Teachers serve as guide or facilitator. And third, teaching first provide example that have students practice and figure out the rules themselves. Example. Ask students to find out work starting with letter A. Second, making presentation or projects. Advantages, the learners are more engaged in teaching learning process. The learners formulate will the generalization or rule. Second, learning becomes more interesting at the outset because teachers begin with the experiences of the students. Teacher begins with what they know. Third, it helps the development of the learners' higher order thinking skills. Disadvantages. First, it requires more time and so less subject matter will be covered. Teacher needs much time to lead students to the formulation of generalization. Second, it demands expert facilitating skills on part of the teachers. Teacher got to ask the right questions, organize answers and comments to pave the way to the derivation of generalization or principles. This is the deductive method and inductive method. First, it does. First, from deductive method is it does not give any new knowledge. Second, it is a method of verification. Third, it is the method of instruction. Fourth, child gets ready-made information and make use of that. Fifth, it is quick process. Sixth, it is encourages dependence on other source. 7. There is less scope of activity in it. And 8. It is a downward process of thought and leads to useful results. From inductive method, it is give the new knowledge. It is a method of discovery, method of teaching. Child acquire first-hand knowledge and information by actual observation. It is a slow process. It trains the mind and gives self-confidence and initiative. And it is full of activity, and it is upward process of thought and lead the principles. Which method is more teacher directed? First, which one engages more than learners is conceptual understanding. Second, which demands more teacher skillful questioning. Technique. Now, the next slide will be explained from my friend Riol Munawar.
Technique. A technique is implementation that which actually takes place in a classroom. It is a particular procedure to accomplish an immediate objective. It must be consistent with the method and harmony with approach as well. A technique is a detailed list of rules or a guideline for any teaching activity. The second is it is based on the description of steps or a set of do and don't, and can often be likened to a method or strategy. And the third is technique is a procedure or skill for completing a specific task. This will be used for predictable events. Mind mapping. You apply guidelines for devising content in a holistic way. This is a technique that can be used in an individual working situation, in a group work, or by the teacher as a means of demonstrating something. Brainstorming is a group-centered interaction method. The brainstorming technique describes a way of collecting ideas or information in a creative and uninhibited way. Example. First is system of rewards and punishments. The second is if classroom become distracted, the teacher may use the technique of silent reading. And the third is a quick physical activity to distract or divert their attentions. Conclusion. Approach determine methods, intermethod determine technique. And the second is the arrangement is hierarchical, the organizational, K is the technique carry out a method which is consistent with an approach.
Okay, thank you very much. We hope you can understand well about our material, about teaching approach, teaching method, and teaching techniques. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.